In the last lecture, you learned about that how we can use the Fetch API to perform a GET request and get all the data and simply display it on the console. Great. But in reality, we want to display this information on the screen. So how can we do that? Well, if you want something to be displayed on the screen, it will be a good idea to create some sort of a placeholder. So I'm just going to go into the body and create a UL, an unordered list. You can use any control that you want. I'm just using unordered list, but that doesn't mean that you have to use an unordered list. I'll call it movie list or movies list. You can see that currently the UL doesn't really have anything, no items, nothing, no LIs. And the reason is that we're going to be fetching the information from our API. And once we get all this information, then we will display this information dynamically, creating all the elements and putting it inside the movies list. So let's go back to our app.js. I need to get access to the movies list. I'm just going to say movies list equals to document.getElement by ID, because we have provided some sort of an ID to that element, which is movies list. So we'll get that. And once we have the data, you'll see that we're going to be going through it and displaying it. So the first thing we need to do in this case is probably to go ahead and map through the data. If I go ahead and console.log result over here, you will find out that the result itself is not an array. It's an object. So if I go ahead and refresh it, you can see it's an object. So what do you think is going to happen if I try to do this? Result.map. Do you think it's going to work or not? It's not going to work, because if you try to do result.map, the map is an array helper which only works on an array. So in this response that you're getting, is there any property that contains an array? I mean, we're looking at this whole object right now, right? I mean, it kind of looks like this. It's starting from here, right there on the top. The property that we are mostly interested in is search. So there is a property in our JSON result which is called search. And the search contains the array of elements, as you can see. Next, what we want to do is we want to iterate over search. There are many different ways. I'm going to go ahead and move the search or assign the value of search, which is simply an array of movies, to movies, which is simply a variable. You don't have to do that, but I think it makes it a little bit more clear that your intentions are and what the value of search is. Now I can go ahead and iterate over the movie. So you can, if you want, you can obviously do this. This is fine, because search itself is an array. So on array, you can call a map. But now I can do it like this also. I think it's a little bit more better to do it this way, because it's clear that what you're mapping over. We'll get the movie, and it is over here that we are going to create some sort of an interface. So we can use template literals. I can create an li, and inside the li I can inject something like movie.title. But this will be wrong, because there is no title property in the movie. If you look over here in the response that you're getting, it's title with an uppercase T, and that is very important. We will have to use an uppercase T to get the title. When all of this is going to be finished, meaning the map function is called, it's going to go through every item, which is basically this. This is one of the items, this is the second item, this is the third item, and fourth, and so on. It's going to go through all the movies, and for every movie, it's going to return you an li. So in the end, a map is going to return you an array of LIs. So if I go ahead and call it movie items, and if I simply go ahead and now print out the movie items, you will see that the movie items is simply an array of LIs. Here we go. So on the 0, you can see an li, so all of them are list items. Once we have the list item or array of li's, we can simply assign it to the movie list. So let's go ahead and assign it. I will say movie list dot inner HTML equals to movie items. If we go ahead and assign it, we are able to display the information, which is basically the list of movies, on the screen, as you can see. But they all are displaying a little bit weird because they have a comma. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and remove that comma. So what we're going to do is we're going to join it based on just an empty array over here. So joining basically means that all of these item in the movie items array, they're going to be joined together as a single string. And the separation will be based on, or they will join using nothing. Like if I put something over here, like let's say star, then you can see that they're joining using the star. Like every single item inside the array, when you join two items, they put a star in the middle or asterisk in the middle, right? Now we don't really want anything, so we're just going to go ahead and remove that. And there we go. We're able to display all of the movies on our page, on our display. Now all of this is perfectly fine. But one thing that you may notice is the fetch part, all of this, is not really inside a function. And it's not really reusable. I mean, if there's some other page that I want to do a fetch request or the same exact thing, I won't be able to do it. So how can we put all of this inside a function? And then how can we make sure that all of these things that are creating our user interface are inside a separate function, a single responsibility principle, meaning one function should be doing one thing. So that is our refactoring phase, and we're going to be looking at in the next lecture.